Ausar Thompson is one of the weirdest players in the NBA. He can't shoot, he's not a scorer, and his box score stats might even come across as pedestrian or even bad, depending on which ones that you're looking at. But night after night, Ausar Thompson is the poster child of what it looks like to make winning plays, putting together a highlight reel every single game of doing all of the little things that help lead to winning basketball. But how is a wing that can't shoot still contributing to winning at a high level? He's only attempted 18 threes in the 15 games he's played this season, and even though he's an extremely reliable finisher, clocking in at 73% per cleaning the glass, his impact as a scorer is only hindered further by the fact that he's a complete non-factor at the free throw line. So how does this player help you win basketball games? Well, it starts with his defense. One of the biggest ways he's able to make his presence felt on the defensive end is with how he's able to recognize the ways that what his teammates are doing is going to impact the decisions that the offensive players are going to make. Now, what I mean by this is the Pistons are going to have Stuart Hardhedge on DiVincenzo, which effectively leaves him doubled. This is going to leave Randall open in this short roll situation, and Ausar knows this. Since a pass to Conley on the weak side is a pretty difficult pass for DiVincenzo to try and make here, Ausar is going to come off of Conley to jump the pass to Randall, and he nabs the steal. Don't even try to telegraph your passes around him, because the second that he sees what you're trying to do, like he does with DiVincenzo looking at Naz Reid here, he's going to stick out that 7-foot wingspan and kill your possession before it even gets started. He can bait offenses into making bad passes, initially looking like he's covering an entry pass to Plumlee, but he wants it to look like this so that Durant tries to make this skip pass to Allen, and Ausar turns into a cornerback to grab the interception and force the turnover. The Magic set up for this handoff between Bitadze and Harris, and first and foremost, Ausar does a great job of navigating it to prevent Harris from turning the corner, but Harris is going to telegraph the pass too much, and so Ausar just sticks out those go-go gadget arms and deflects the ball to force the turnover. Just because he gets behind a play doesn't mean that he's out of it. He completely loses Westbrook, being forced to recover hard, but when Westbrook tries to pass it back to Jordan, Ausar is there and waiting to rip the pass out of the air to create a transition opportunity that directly leads to points. It really doesn't matter how well the ball handler is shielding the ball trying to keep it away from him. Cole Anthony is going to make this crossover, and just look at how much distance Ausar is able to clear to poke the ball away. This isn't just elite feel, this can't be taught. On this inbound play, Hero is going to shake him a little bit, forcing Ausar into a difficult recovery, but he keeps himself straight up so that he doesn't get called for the foul as he slides in front of the drive, and once he sees Hero jump stop to try and shake him so that he can go up, Ausar is just going to swipe straight down on the ball, and it gets Detroit the possession. He's matched up against a much bigger Lauri Markkanen, but Ausar makes the size difference seem negligible, denying Markkanen any lane to the basket, and he really doesn't surrender much space, if any, until he sees an opening to poke the ball away and force yet another turnover. He's got extremely active hands, and it really shows up when you look at the league leaders in deflections per 36 minutes. The rate at which he's able to disrupt the ball is ridiculous, and it creates so many opportunities for his team to win defensive possessions. Now, a big theme with Ausar Thompson is his versatility, especially on the defensive end, because even though he's a wing, even though he can defend the perimeter at a very, very high level, he's also an elite defensive presence on the interior out of the forward position. On the flare screen here, he initially gets caught up, but he's going to get back onto Bridges to prevent the three-point shot. Where it gets difficult is when Richard comes back and screens him again. But what Ausar does really well is force drivers into taking wider angles coming off a screen instead of allowing them to get a straight line going to the basket, so he's able to stay more in line with Bridges on his way to the rim instead of ending up behind him. And even though Bridges does leave the ground before him, Ausar's ridiculous athleticism allows him to keep the same tempo, providing a really solid contest to force the miss. The Jazz are trying to feed Collins on the post-up, but Ausar denies it by fronting him, forcing the pass to the wing. When they swing the ball and Cade ends up getting beat off the dribble, Ausar is going to slide over and provide a perfect vertical contest to force the miss at the rim. He's initially in the right side dunker spot, but when Duncan Robinson tries to throw this lob up to Bam, waiting in the left dunker spot, Ausar comes over and makes an insane vertical leap to swat the ball away like a volleyball player. They try to use Paul George's relocation to pull Ausar away from the paint to try and open up Maxey a driving lane to the basket, but Ausar isn't going to fall for it, turning right back around to get there in time. And even though Maxey tries to put this high off the glass, nothing is safe when Ausar is around the paint. These kinds of possessions where the ball handler is able to force the man in the middle to step up like Ausar does here almost always leads to points when the ball is dumped off to the dunker. But that's not the case with Ausar, who just flips right around and swallows up the dunk attempt. Now, even though he's a wing, the numbers and the eye test really back up this idea that he is an elite rim protector out of the forward spot. Opposing players shoot 10.4 percentage points at the rim worse on average than their expected field goal percentage at the rim when they're being defended by Ausar Thompson. That means if a player is a 60% finisher at the rim, their efficiency goes down to 50% when being defended by Ausar. Now, if there was one all-in-one metric that I think really encapsulates Ausar Thompson's defensive capability, it's something called stop percentage, and shout out to NBA RAPM for providing this stat. Stop percentage is steals plus offensive fouls drawn plus blocks per 100 possessions. Ausar's stop rate comes in at 5.7%, which puts him in the 99th percentile in defensive playmaking. Now listen, all of this defense is great, but if he's not a shooting threat, what does he do on the offensive end that really allows his defensive ability to be felt without weighing down their offense too much? Something that Ausar Thompson does incredibly well is capitalizing on the stuff that I like to call low-hanging fruit. Now, when I say low-hanging fruit, I'm talking about things like putbacks, cutting, transition finishing, things of that nature where it's not the most glamorous stuff in the world. It's not going to get you on a nastiest crossovers compilation, but it's enough to provide your team with offensive value despite not being able to shoot jumpers at a high clip. When we talk about players that don't have jump shots, it's really easy to think of that player as unskilled, but when it comes to Ausar, that really couldn't be further from the truth. Ausar has plenty of skill as a ball handler. He's a borderline unstoppable driver due to that insane athleticism, his relatively functional handle, and crafty finishing ability that he gets to showcase every now and then. He's a good enough ball handler and overall offensive facilitator to get some occasional run as the ball handler in the pick and roll, because even though teams aren't going to send aggressive coverages on him out to the three-point line, you still have to have a body that's ready and capable to stop him, because if you just pack the paint, he's got the athleticism to kill you if you let him get ahead of steam going downhill at you. This is where he mitigates some of that lack of shooting. Yes, your space isn't going to be fully optimized if Ausar is on the floor, but that doesn't mean he can't take advantage of a defense that helps off of him. The way that he's able to stampede off the catch makes it to where he punishes helping off of him by getting to the rim in that space that was surrendered when the help came in the first place. His size lets him behave more as a big instead of a wing sometimes, camping out in the dunker spot to receive dump-offs for easy dunks. And I'm not saying that he is going to develop a jumper, but he has shown the willingness to take them, whether it's off the dribble or off the catch. This is a promising sign at the bare minimum, although it would be a gigantic understatement to say that he has a very, very long way to go to being even a slightly below average shooter. So I'm probably not going to be holding my breath for that, but his aggressiveness with the ball in his hands lets him collapse defenses and capitalize on advantages as well, creating open opportunities for his teammates that he's able to find with his really nice connective passing chops. I don't foresee him being a high volume playmaking engine, but this connective passing is another one of the many areas where he's able to contribute to winning without shooting. So what does a player like Ausar mean for the Detroit Pistons? Is this a long-term piece next to Cade Cunningham? The thing about Ausar is that it's really difficult to find guys not only capable of doing the dirty work, but is simultaneously licking their chops on a nightly basis to do this dirty work. We've seen plenty of players in the past without a jump shot contribute to winning, and a lot of them don't have even close to the defensive ability and ball skills that Ausar has. Is he an unorthodox player? Sure. But he's one that's going to be wreaking havoc on defense and doing all the little things on offense for many years to come. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you did and leaving a like so that you never miss another one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.